Wake up, goddammit. Welcome to MARKETcast with Unk and Market Monk. Yeah. Morning, P. How's your week?
Oh, really good. Just hit it with crypto and then UNH was kind of my big one. So
Good for.
um that was sort of a one of those plans kind of took all week to put it together and then had the big hit off earnings. Whether anyone played through it or I think Goose caught it the next day, just really lined up well. So really happy with the results this week.
Yeah, crypto definitely led the way. It was pretty easy playing that.
And then Carvana took off again. Missed Nikola. I should have gotten in that because I just I liked the read there, but didn't catch that one.
Yeah, it was a good week for crypto. Coming back in crypto was pretty easy for me since I know those charts pretty well. Um, have my levels established on those, but it's still a news lead the way for me from like Invax laser did good. Um, but again, the cryptos probably made the weeks. Swings are still swinging for me. I'm about I'm about 2/3 of my account in swings, which is fine, except for it kind of slows down what I can enter. I don't have an
Yeah,
endless
yeah,
supply of money. um, and I follow rules, so that's a big part of just being picky right now. But man, I wish I would have stayed in the wolf a little longer. That's
yeah.
for sure. Um, I didn't think it'd hit my level this week, but here we
I
are.
I mean three was my I just said three plus and it went like 360 or something. When
369, sir.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was disciplined with the free share thing. That's what I ended up doing. So from about 320 through there, that's what those are still going. Um,
you know why that's a really good free share one? Let's talk about that.
yeah, sure. What's
Well,
that?
because when we were sizing it up, right? We were talking about the volume of the chart, and then the level it kind of fell from before, and the 369 was like the lower level. If you when I zoomed out when we were doing it, the first level I caught was like $8. Here, I go there right now. It's $8 or $9 this next consolidation. So I mean, you have really good range, and just the risk reward on that, right, is huge still. I mean, that's a $9 from here is another almost 200%. Um,
Yeah, and the so on the option side, the ones I listed there, it's one of those. It's at a price, so you don't really need to do options on it. But if you do, the close to the money stuff, um, was like $40, and for November, or if you want to go later, you can. And you're sitting so nice in those that you can just make up your mind. Like, you can just sell it now, or do I want to keep one for the bigger move? And I mean, if it does keep going, if crypto keeps going, those contracts are going to go like $200-300, and you didn't put up a lot. You didn't risk a lot, and you're not risking going red because it's so deep in the money at this point. So that's why the share option thing is kind of a good strategy too for people who are maybe option first traders who want to just have a little exposure there. I only bought three of them, but they're doing well as well.
yeah, no, and I like the sizing you can get on the share side, and then if you do keep free shares, especially after a 10% run, having 30 shares isn't a huge thing. Um, but very, very,
Yeah, and
very
we've seen
possible.
too with crypto that the court rulings are not guaranteed to go in the SEC's favor, and there's some down the pike too. There's some stuff with coin, and you know the Binance FUD. While I think there is something to it, is just not working to sell off crypto right now. Doesn't matter that Tether's depegged on there; no one cares. So it's very hard to short. I said middle of June. I said do not short crypto stuff. and pretty adamant about that. I had someone asking me about shorting MSTR, and I said, I mean, yeah, you can intraday. It's a little oversold, overbought. You can catch some puts down, but the next day it went up 12%. So you're playing with fire trying to short this stuff. I don't know why people do it. If you want to short, I have better things that you can probably try. But yeah, it's hot right now, and I think you don't even want to get fooled by Bitcoin pulls back 2%. It's like, oh, here we go. This is the collapse. I don't get tricked by that either.
Yeah, no, it's I just like the sector a lot because it is news driven in both directions. It's from the price of the pit going to some SEC stuff to um, just a new coin being out. There's just so much news. Like crypto news is daily. It's evolving daily, and it's the bull or bear thesis. Like I had a guy at the game last night because there's a few people that know I trade stocks for a living, and I was just getting ready pregame, do my thing, and he runs over, and he's like, "Are we getting rid of the dollar?" and I was like, I had to like calm him down a little bit, and I mean, I was like, even if you're right, man, it's like at least 7-10 years down the road. Like it's not tomorrow. Like we're not cutting it tomorrow. And then we start talking about the ETFs, which is a whole other part of the news stuff right now too, right? Like it's being accepted on that side as they make these ETFs. But like, how do you like? We talk about boring stuff, right? Like what news is coming in gold? Oil, I guess maybe a little bit. Natural gas, if we're blowing up pipelines, it's pretty exciting. But usually
Yeah.
those things aren't fun. The news is not. We got an extra 5,000 barrels this week. Like
Yeah.
it's so redundant, and crypto's not that. So that's why I like to trade it. But understanding the chart, like you're saying, and understanding the environment, you really need to know. And yeah, you've been accurate since the first. I mean, crypto this year is your oil from last year. And
Yeah.
I said that in like April, but I'm gonna continue to say that because I'm more right the longer we go.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, and I mean, and coin completely. I don't have any levels up here really, but I think some will emerge. Some of it is kind of flow driven, and coin does that thing. And I said that the pullbacks are better for coin because it's so crowded. And Friday was the perfect example because it spikes 4% at open, and then it dropped to -5%, and then it recovers and finishes kind of flat on the day. And that's what to expect intraday for coin. You cannot swing that up here. You need a different strategy, and it's one I'd say at this level is not for beginners. But yeah, it's going to continue to be active. It'll be interesting to see if it can hold 100. Did not think it would be up here, but here we are.
yeah, I got I'm not giving that away for free. We'll talk about that one though. But yeah, there's a way that if this reacts, there's still a lot of range left in it.
I got some flow on it too. So yeah,
Yeah,
we'll save
yeah,
that for
yeah.
second
I
half.
don't want to really put that all out there. A little bitter about coin because it was on my list, like, but it didn't make the list last week because it's one
Yeah,
of those just wait for flow, wait for flow, wait for flow. But man, kind of came off that 76 perfectly. Um, that chart is a beast of its own though. I don't think it's a
yeah.
short. Do you think it's a short squeeze? I don't think it's a short squeeze. I just think people are buying.
No, I don't, and I just think, I mean, the longer it can stay up here, there's some shares above. I guess maybe is how I'd say it. We'll get into that,
Yeah.
but
All right. Let's get off that
yeah,
one.
yeah.
What was I gonna say? There was another thing about crypto. I forgot it. So what else you want to talk about here? Or do you want to just go into spy?
Real quick on swings.
Oh yeah, let's talk them.
Silver is my biggest swing right now, and then Veil, which is kind of an all encompassing metals mega cap, but still, silver, there isn't really news pushing it, but it's just like our entry was so good that you're starting to see, them start to walk it up, and that'll be, something I definitely want to talk about. But it was just so oversold. It's like this is just some relief, and then kind of the bullish environment can emerge, and it can, it can keep going. And it's why silver was a little bit better than gold, because gold hadn't fallen quite as far. But that's just a good example. Why do slow swings like this? I mean, simple answer is they're likely to go up, and you're going to make some money. But again, I think it's also for traders, find some places you can park your money that are going to protect you from yourself, and you're not just going to be in the minute chart every morning, trying to, scalp $500 positions. Just calm your account down and find some stuff like this. And I think it's one of our biggest strengths is getting people to notice setups like that.
Yeah, I didn't get a lot of silver, but silver miners, all that was definitely on the oversold. And um, I like that's on your checklist now, the oversold stuff, because that's where the money's at, and this not necessarily safety but lower risk, and why I've always traded bottoms or um, psychological support or support and resistance, trying to find that
Yeah, no,
minimal
I'm
downside of
definitely
the
into
risk.
that. I still I keep finding the all-time high charts that do go
God,
higher,
yeah.
but yeah, that's a different sort of deal. But I will say that you never even would have looked at any of those, but I have shown you like some ways that those go up a
No,
little more.
I mean, there's the monster, right? But I guess that reverse split, but that was all time high, and I was like, this looks great up here. And
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, there's a few. Um, I I think we mentioned Netflix there a couple weeks ago. So there, I mean, it happens, but it's just for me. That's I don't know. I'm cheap. Can I be cheap?
yeah,
I'm just
yeah.
cheap.
You can be cheap, and I think, and two, I'm in complete agreement that I'm not buying an SMCI share for $290, but it was going to likely go to 290 last week, and then it ended up going over 300. So, option side, like if people want to scalp, like to me, it works better to scalp stuff like that than to scalp 50 cents on SPY. That's just kind of how I am. It's a little SPY's a little more haphazard to me. I mean, I think people are really good at reading those little gaps intraday and all that. But it's just not my style really. I'm sort of a little bit bigger picture. I like to do my homework the night before and have it play out the next morning or the week before, the month before, etc. I'm not so much a momentum guy intraday.
Yeah, I tried. I'm a, I'm a buy and go play golf guy. That's who I mean.
Yeah,
That's how I want to trade. Market dictates how you have to trade, in my opinion. That's a big part of it.
yeah,
But I prefer this, like this. That was another conversation, but yeah, this so far this year's been great. Um, yeah, another conversation. Real quick, just to say, show how cheap I am. Let's play a little game here, P. Um,
sure.
in phase, if you had to buy shares this year, how cheap? Like you had to buy them now, sometime in this year, and sell them within like 6 months. So it has to be like a trade, right? How cheap would they
Yeah,
have to be to buy shares?
under 160. So I got 158 is sort of my spot for that.
Yeah, see, I'd be like 110.
Oh wow. Yeah.
That's just how I look at things, right? Like I wait for the opportunity to come. And I mean, you see it with Tesla when I say those numbers, right? Like those are usually far away. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
but that's just how I look at charts. So I think that makes us a good combo.
Well, it
Because
does, and I think, and that's why I put a note up in Colab. I was like, and this is I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 times we've done this now. I'm like, give me some shitty solar stocks because I see Enphase and First Solar, looking pretty good. Um, they're kind of an option trade, but if you want some shares, and like SPWR, I think went from, it was like the low nines and spiked to over $11, from the time that we talked about that. So that's kind of where we look and that's why the sector focus works so well, that we can find a play that works for shares while the sector's kind of popping off on the option side.
Yeah, that's just I guess it's kind of the secret sauce there, but I mean, it's not really secret. You know what's in it. Just finding the right mix of proper float size, insider ownership, short interest on it, and then if they have some money, do they drop
Yeah.
news? Do they not drop news regularly? You gotta. A lot of people are just looking for tickers. I mean, sometimes like eyes and ears run, right? You can luck out. You can buy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Wolf sounded good from the beginning. I was like, I can get down with the Wolf. But you have to look a little farther than that, and then figure out when you figure out that stuff is driven by big money and size of the stock. Like those two things are really important. That's when you start looking at the market cap. Flow is obviously where the big money's positioned, but insider ownership, all that stuff is so important when you're picking. Basically.
Yeah, it's not a coincidence that in different sectors I have these. They're they're large caps, but the float's kind of small. Their options move in a similar kind of way, so it's why MDB and MSTR sort of match up with each other, even though they're not related at all. But that is different than trading snow. Like in snow, it's bigger, the float's bigger. Like they're very deliberate about hitting these levels. Whereas something like MDB, once it gets moving in a direction, it can kind of just keep going, and you're not going to get the same kind of precision in the levels that you do with snow sometimes, intraday anyway.
Yeah, no, I agree, and that goes back to the stock psychology that we always talk about. Like understanding how it moves is important because that kind of needs to fit your trading style. If the thing moves violently each day and you can't be around, probably shouldn't trade that. Probably should trade something that you know makes smaller moves, but um, is more fluid day to day, and then figure out the chart. Um, which that's I
Yeah.
think that's where the options come into play, right? Because then those micro moves can really help you.
Oh yeah, yeah,
On
definitely.
the right plays. That option thing's a whole nother ball game, man. Let's get into SPY a little bit here, kind of midpoint. I really just want to gloat.
Yeah. Oh
So
yeah. One more thing on
yeah, yeah,
options, real quick.
go for it.
So this is something I see on Twitter constantly. Options are very complicated, and it's like people who want to read them, they make it even harder by, they kind of, they almost dive too deep, and they don't know what not to look at, and whether it's how their filters are set up and or whatever, but like they're just they just turn I guess like division and multiplication into calculus. And so I saw someone do this really complex read on FCX with all this like bid side, ask side, like weeklies and all this stuff. I don't know why or how, but like my method of looking at FCX was like it's bullish. Here are the strikes, and then it took off all week. And so I guess like in my teaching, I try to look for ways to simplify as much as I can, because the whale site, I love it, but they keep adding all these bells and whistles to it, and it's like I don't know, it's like a golfer who has like too much crap to try to make their swing better. They are doing too much, and it's like just there's not like see the ball, hit the ball, like they're just losing track of that by focusing on all these little micro moves. So I think with anything, options are immensely complex. You find a way to simplify it, and you're going to be much more successful than trying to catch every little nuance of these orders every day.
Yeah, yeah, no, 100. I think you said that real well. That's why I don't play options.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into spikes. I want to gloat. I want to gloat a little bit.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
All right, so we coming off vacation, I just had to pull some numbers out my butt. Um, you were 448, 432. I was 452, 436. So a couple bucks north on each of them. We got 451, 36, and 437, 53. So I missed it by 70 cents one way and about a buck the other way. Um, I'm kind of shocked we went that high, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But it was the trend just didn't stop. The market is responding so well to any news right now that isn't I need money. Like you're good as long as you don't go bankrupt or need a loan right now. Because the expectations are so low, um, and the inflation stuff is coming down. Like it looks like we're getting out of the woods. We're back to like a reasonable number on those PPI CPI numbers. They were like reasonable, even though it's all year to date stuff, or year over year, however you want to look at that. Um, I think that is people are feeling like it's over. And you got to understand the market is forward thinking most of the time. So people are
Yeah.
thinking it's over in the next 6 months to a year. I mean, that's
Exactly. Yeah.
it wants to be way ahead, and I just think I think we're gonna be at some big numbers before we get a pullback. I mean, we might get one a day or two, but before we have those like dreaded week, 10 days of just no volume or down, sideways or down, I think we're the other way now. I really think we're in the clear here.
Yeah. At flow, option flow does support that, and if one of the things, like I don't know, months ago, I feel like I talked about how everyone, bears were really focused on breadth. Like you look up that word, and it's just everyone talked about it's all Apple, Microsoft, Nvidia, and it's a disaster because this other stuff isn't going to move. And I was like, well, breadth could be resolved by the mid caps and smaller large caps moving up, and that's been happening too. So yeah, I'm with you. I have a lot of stocks where like I got to start thinking about them checking up to some higher levels, and it's sort of a whole new setup where the sideways thing before was, I just like we hit these levels on the way up, they come right back down. We might not test on Twilio, Roku, stuff like that for some time. So I'm with you there.
Yeah, no, for me, if you felt like something's if it's left the bus at this point in time, you just DCA.
Yeah.
That's the only way to approach it for me. Um, I don't like playing news. I guess AMD is a good example. Like I'm not trying to wait for AMD to get news up here at 115, right? You just got to start scaling in.
Yeah.
Because if it takes off on you, you already want to be in. You kind of have an established bottom. 10% of something is better than 0% of something, and
Right.
that's how you got to look at it. I mean, um, would I like to have put like 80k, 90 or 80k into Nvidia when it was $100? Sure, but I only got about 10 in. It just is what happened, and
Yeah.
it's what I got. I would love to have more. Um, and I could say that with a couple things. Would I love to have gotten more Tesla? 100%. Would I love to kept more Tesla? 100%. Would I like to have some Facebook? Jesus. I mean,
Yeah.
at 150, like I day traded that at 150. I didn't invest in that. Um,
Yeah. Same deal. Same for me with like MDB.
yeah,
Yeah. 200 and then 220. I
yes.
mean,
So if that's the case,
$400.
if that's the case mentally, and you still think there's more in the chart, the only way to go is to DCA, and that's a shared opinion. I don't know how you handle
Yeah.
it on the option side, but um, Yeah, I think we need to push the beef a little bit more. It's 80-20 shares to options in my opinion
Yeah,
still.
yeah,
And I think set it and forget it. And getting the stuff you're trading is where it's at. Just have an overall thesis. I mean, yeah, if you're short something, don't buy shares, but don't buy. But if you're buying calls on something, you should probably be getting some shares each month too. Um,
yeah, definitely. I mean, I think psychologically too. It's like, you put in the work, you get the setup, you get the move that you wanted. You would like to stay in it a little bit. But you're sort of torn on, I just want to take the profit on this option. I mean, if you have some shares, it's like, okay, I'm still in it. The move can continue. I'm still making some money off of it. It is better psychologically than just feeling like you're just starting over every single day, with just these little option scalps. It's nice to just build something, and I think the shares help do that.
or if you just miss the call on a 5% move, right? Like, say, I don't want to use coin because I don't think a lot of people were just sitting in that. But if you did have some coin shares and you were up on them and you play the options, right? Because your coin's going to 100, you're that guy. And
Yeah,
you got that overall thesis. If you miss this big Friday it had, you still got the move on the share side. Like,
yeah,
it's just I don't know. It gives you some breathing room, and then sometimes you don't feel like you have to trade, right? Like I'm getting some stuff that I'm already up on. I've had days like that where I'm pretty flat and the account's way up, and I'm like,
yeah.
oh, I'm glad I bought all that,
Right.
and it just helps the mental, in my opinion. And like you're saying, starting from zero every day, that's tough. Like, um, that should only be Monday, on the first of the month. Is the only time you
Yeah.
should be starting fresh. Other than that, you should feel like you have, some, I don't know, some sort of victory in your pocket. I don't know how to properly put that, but I close the first trade green real quick every day just for that reason. Most days,
Yeah.
right? Like as soon as I see a green one, I just take it, even if it's a base hit, or put the stop loss in the green, just so you get that, you know, mental part right, because that's totally important. I never thought about that starting fresh every day. That's a man. Don't do that.
Yeah, that's I mean that's where a lot of the, just I mean the spy gamblers, I mean that's what they do, and that's um that's tough, it's tough to be consistent doing that.
Yeah. You want to throw some numbers out there? I'll go first if you want.
Yeah, yeah.
Hold on, let me look at this chart 1 second. I was gonna just pull it out my butt, but I probably should have some TA behind it. No, that's too high. I'm gonna go for 454 to the top and down. Let me get this bottom of the scale. What's that? That's been it. That 437. I still think that could be the bottom if anything breaks three.
All right, very good. So I'll talk for the week, and then I have something a little longer
Okay.
range to look at here. But I'm going to go 440 for the bottom, and 453 for the top.
That's pretty tight range. I like it.
Yeah, yeah. Now the longer term one I wanted to mention, if you're someone who does watch lists on contracts, I would watch list September 15th, 430p. It's about $340. I'm not saying like to buy that or anything. Not that I say to buy anything, but it just sort of has a 115,000 volume to open interest of 62,000, and with it being kind of a mid-range swing, I sort of found that interesting. That I think that they'll probably be able to get that in the money if the momentum picks up on that. So that would be like a couple bad days in a row, for us to get down there. But yeah, but that's to the downside. That's the one that stands out. Kind of big picture to the downside for stuff further out. The change with the highest open interest, the top 10 are all puts, but some of them are starting to flip bid side. Like anything 400p, 410p went from about 80, 90%, and this is for August. They were like 80, 90% to the ask. Those would flip to the bid, which means that either like whales are closing them to get out, or what's more prominently happening is they're selling them to sucker retail people who think we're going to crash. So that's sort of the narrative in the flow. Not a lot of aggressive stuff to the upside. There is, you see some leaps over 500 and all that, but really to me the big story is they're whales are kind of modest in their expectations for downside, and they're selling puts further down to retail saps. That's what I see here.
Yeah, no, that fits how I feel and what I'm saying, what I general opinion of the market. If I'm positioned right, like if I'm down to a third of what I can move around, the whales have got to be too, right? Like they took advantage.
Yeah,
They're smarter
yeah.
than me. They're not. I didn't pull no wool over no one's eyes. So I think um, they're positioned already. So what happens? They win on that, especially to the upside. Um,
Well, my old bullish thesis for the year, I found a lot of it persuasive about what you were saying, but like from a flow perspective, the tech leaps that I saw in November that I posted about were a really clear signal to me when I saw like Snow 180C back when it was in the dirt, and then some of the like semiconductors and Apple and whoever, like there were tech leaps that were pretty aggressive, and I'm like, that doesn't look like a big market crash to me. And the market's had some kind of ups and downs since then, but those were for the summer and beyond, and they're way the hell up on those. So yeah, and I still see that. I see it's for 2025. They're still getting pretty aggressive about the leaps that they're looking at. So yeah, I just don't see some catastrophic crash, and not that that's easy to predict anyway. But I definitely don't think TA wise you can just put some comparison chart, to 2008 or 1929 or whatever the hell you want, and think that you're going to get anything out of that. Just not there.
well, you got to understand the game that's going on that you're in at the time of the game that your in's going on. That was my best
Yeah.
Kamala Harris impression.
Yeah.
Um, but what I mean by that is, I personally thought the market would be a little broader, getting to this level, getting back above. 430 was been on my chart for a while. If you've seen my charts, played spy with us the whole time, you know what I thought about this level, and we've held it in like a month, and it's kind of strong off that level, so it kind of looks like a support and resistance slip to me. But how we got here is more important than where we are, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I didn't see the seven pillars or whatever the hell you want to call them, kind of making those that big of power moves. Like, okay, I'll just put it out there. Personally, I thought I could buy more Nvidia at about 440 on SPY. Right? I was like, all right, that's
Yeah.
when it flips, I'll be able to buy it. Double my position, still have a good average. Yada yada yada. It just didn't happen because it was those things that moved it. So even if we consolidate here and go sideways, let's say we only get to the 460 that I've talked about, which isn't far away now, we could go sideways because the stuff that's going to do well the rest of the year isn't in, like RAD's not moving flipping SPY. It's not moving any ETF, maybe one ETF that it's in or somewhere down the road. But stuff
Yeah.
like that, Fubo isn't moving it. SoFi isn't moving it. Maybe we'll have a sector that does well and give SPY $4 or $5 range, but the gas that went into getting us here, I just don't see that kind of possible the rest of this year. But the market itself was so narrow when it went up that there's a lot of flipping opportunity to have
Uh,
the
yeah,
100% moves.
there's a lot of upside in some Dow charts, for example. That I mean, UNH had this big move off earnings,
Mm-hmm.
but it had pulled way the hell back. So like it could go to 525, 550, something like that, and John Deere could add another $50. Like so, those kind of things. Um, Big stocks in Dow, while Apple sort of consolidates or is flat, like that keeps the market moving in that direction. And yeah, like with QQQ, 304 was my big level. I thought we'd get a couple more tests of that. It just bounced and took off and just has not
Yeah.
it has not come back at all. So yeah, I didn't come close to catching the full move on a lot of this stuff, but I was on the right side of it, and that's sort of the biggest thing, that you can hop in and out, um, but you don't like try to short stuff just because you think it seems too expensive. And
Yeah. Yeah. For me, I'm on those like. I mean, I could give 1,000 examples, but Square. I mean, we all know how I feel about Square, but like waiting on that, just waiting on that move to finally take place. Or Datadog, the
yeah,
same. Datadog was the same thing. You were all over SaaS stocks. I'm just watching one of the ones that I like how the ticker trades sit at the bottom for like 5 months. I mean, that's an easy one just to get established in, and now we're over 100 on that thing again. I think there's a lot of that left of stuff that just hasn't had its day. But again, that's not going to move for these. That's going to frustrate the shit out of these SPY traders.
oh yeah, yeah, and well, in China's a good example too, where
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it did actually give people a good pullback, but BABA under 90, just you can just buy it and just wait. It's gonna go. I mean, it's gonna go.
Yeah,
So you don't have to
100%.
time that with weeklies or anything.
Um, I don't want to take too long here, but I just want to get your thoughts on it because I think it'll be popular by the end of the week, and I like being ahead of things. But we got some banking ER this week. Beat to shit sector. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, you know the one I'm on that you put me on that we're on now, and Bank of America both have ER. C's out there as well. Kind of your thoughts on that? Like,
There.
is this the turnaround, or is
Uh,
this
I
just
I think it's a step in the right direction. What you're seeing. I mean, like you saw with Wells Fargo, that they they beat and then had the big move pre-market, and then they sold off. So there's still a lot of sell pressure that is kind of keeping these a little bit bottled up. So I think that you just got to be patient, but I'm not hesitant to add shares to banking stuff. I mean, the big ones, BAC, WFC, JPM, those would be kind of my three favorite ones, and I do really like them here.
no Chuck, huh?
What's that?
No Chuck, huh? You don't like Chuck? Oh, Schwab.
Um, oh, Schwab, yeah, yeah, no, I like that one. Okay, I just hadn't been hasn't been as active in the flow. Little bit shakier with its setup. Could fall to like 55 or something like that. But no, I think you're fine there too. And the target for all of them, to me, well, I got Schwab up right now, is sort of the middle candle of that
Mm-hmm.
big drop.
Puking
So
rally.
like I don't know, like $70 or something for Schwab.
Yep.
I think it can get back to that. So yeah, I do like I like the banks, and a lot more room above than below. Just they still could take some hits, and you got to be really careful with the regionals. Option side, the IV is just too crazy to mess with those. But I think there's some decent swings, and we'll have one in the second half, I think.
Do you think long term, like this is gonna look back and say we should have just bought there because it was painful?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
They're, I mean, especially the large caps. This is just sort of a blip. I don't think that this is gonna have any kind of lasting impact. They'll come out fine.
Nice. Nice. All right. Well, that's all I got. You got anything else you want to get to work?
Uh, Real quick on copper. This is just I want to just tell people why I care so much about these levels and why it's such a big deal when they hold up. I was on 375 copper. I talked about it last week, and I kept telling people, I'm like, if it's going to defend 375, it's going to head back to four. It's at 393, and the individual copper stocks like SCCO had a 5% day the other day, and we had some people already in leaps on it, and that's really just kind of a follow through, little bit of a victory lap here. This is why I focus so much on copper futures, and they really sort of set across the board. So there is a reward to focusing on the boring stuff. So that's why I keep doing it.
Yeah. That one stock has ER this week too. I noticed that. I figured you were going to talk about that sometime today. If not, I'll make you talk about it in the last five. It's important. It's important and boring. Um, those commodities in general. My list is now like five or six because of you. And
Yeah.
last year I was at zero.
Yeah.
Like I know my prices. I know I'm looking for, and then I have some stocks that relate to that. Um, so yeah, the copper's been one I've been waiting for because, as you said before, it kind of involved a little bit in everything. So
Yeah, it's important for tech, construction, you name it. Yeah.
yeah, no, it's in pretty much anything. Pretty much anything. So awesome. All right, well, let's get to work, Pete.
Yep.